now for you guys is I have and downloaded our inventory master, okay? And what's great about this is it's all separated out by different types or categories of the food that you buy. Dry nuts, herbs, dairy, fruit, blah, blah, blah. Everything's under here. All right. So what we need to do in essence is, all right, we need to go inside. G or H is the pricing that you get from whoever you buy your food from. All right. In this case, we're just going to call them Cisco. All right. Now, Cisco only sells things, so let's look at eggs, all right? I'm going to go in, and I'm going to look under the dairy section. Notice I'm on the dairy tab, and everything's alphabetized, so I need to go down to E for eggs, because they're excellent, all right? So I go, man, I can't even alphabetize. I went right past it. There we go, eggs, whole and shell. Here we go. So when you get something from a purveyor's guide, it's going to tell you not only the price, but how many units come in it. All right, 15 dozen. A dozen means 12, right? Cool. So 15 dozen eggs are in one case, and it's going to cost me $20.45. So what I'm going to do first is in this left column, I'm going to put 20.45. I probably need to make, that might be all right. For 15 dozen. Oh man, it starts to get a little weird too. Let me try doing this. Let's make all of these just a hair smaller. Let's make these 8s. All right, let's go down. Where'd it go? Here she blows. All right, so it's $20.45 for 15 dozen. The whole point of G or H is to find the price for one, which you'll put on this left column. But then this other column right here is where we need to figure out what the cost is of just whatever the unit is on your recipe that you just scaled. So if I look at eggs, for example, it's by the each. I need to figure out what the cost of just one egg is. Well, Chef, how do we do that? Well, this is where you're going to want to take your total price for the whole shooting match or the whole case. For all 15 dozen, it costs $20.45. I highly recommend you get a calculator and follow me at home and do this. Just don't listen to me do it. You're going to get a lot more out of it if you do it as I do it. All right, so $20.45 is the cost for 15 dozen. Well, I want to try to break this down first to figure out just what 1 dozen is. Well, I know there's 15 dozen in it. If I can take the cost of the whole case and divide it first by the number of units, which is 15, it's going to tell me what just 1 dozen costs. All right, so 20.45 divided by 15, because there's 15 dozens, comes out to $1.36. So that's $1.36 just for 1 dozen, okay? But we're not out of the woods yet because our recipe in column F, the unit I need to figure out is each, all right? So if I know 1 dozen of eggs costs $1.36, how would I find the cost of just 1 egg? Well, if I take $1.36, which is the cost for 1 dozen, and I divide it by the number of eggs in a dozen, which is 12, 136 divided by 12, it tells me that 1 egg, and you always want to round up, okay? And I'll get into that a little bit later in the next video of why you always want to round up your costs. And it basically comes down to, do you want to pay the extra ancillary cents, or do you want your customer to pay for those long numbers that keep going after the cents? Of course, you want your customer to pay it. Always round up. So I know that for 15 dozen eggs, it's costing me $20.45. That's lovely. Just to make sure you guys are awake at home. All right, it's $20.45 for 15 dozen. And again, what I did was I want to start breaking this down into the smallest unit in that case. The unit of that case is dozens. So I took $20.45 and I divided it by 15, and that gave me $1.36 for 1 dozen. But I don't need to know the cost of 1 dozen. I need to figure out whatever my recipe is asking for in column F. And in this case, for eggs, it's by the each. So if I know a dozen of eggs is down to $1.36, how many eggs are in a dozen? 12. So if I take $1.36, divide it by the number of eggs in that dozen, it's going to be 12 cents, or 12 cents an egg. Now, what's beautiful about this is, all right, you'll know this is right because this column says each, or the unit pricing is each, and it matches. Again, there's the apples to apples, oranges to oranges. So this column of G is researching the price in your inventory guide, just to be redundant, which was $20.45. All right, and then your job is to try to break down this lump pricing. All right, you're going to break that down to a unit that's going to match the unit you need for your recipe. In this case, it was each. All right, so let's keep going with this. Salt gets a little bit weird. Hey, this is going to be a good one. All right, so column G, need a first thing to do. Go find the price for salt. All right, so I was in dairy. I need to go down and toggle over to, let's see if dry spices and herbs. Let's see if salt's in here. I doubt it. I bet it's in dry goods. There's pepper up in there, but there's no salt. So it's probably going to be in dry goods food. Hit dry goods food. Let's scroll S down for salt. Pickles and rice. SA. All right. I think salt is right up top. There it is. And we're going to use a kosher flake salt. So again, like we did with the eggs, you need a total price, $22.40. All right. So this guy, first things first, $22.40. But what am I getting out of that $22.40? All right, I'm getting 12 each 48-ounce boxes in one case. All right, so this is a really good one to teach you guys on. All right, so the first thing that you want to think about is the number of units that are in this case. And we said by looking at it, there's 12 boxes in this case. All right, now there's 48-ounce weights in those boxes, and we'll get to that here in a second. But the first thing you want to know is that there's $22. It's $22.40 for 12 boxes. So I'm going to find just what the cost is for one box. All right, and BX just means box. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take $22.40 and I'm going to divide it by the number of units in the case, which is 12. $22.40 divided by 12 boxes in that case tells me that a box is going to cost me $180, rounding up, it's $187 a box. All right, but when I look at this, this is in tablespoons, all right? This is in tablespoons, all right? Not in boxes. So now I need to look at this a little bit different, all right? I've got it down to the cost of one box, but I need to get it to tablespoons. It's got to match apples to apples, oranges to oranges. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in and look. It's 48 ounce. The W means weight. You notice if it was FLOZ, it would be fluid ounces, then we'd be in volume. But this is ounce weight. So we know, okay, that there's 48 ounces in a box. All right, so I could take $1.87 and divide it by the number of ounces in that box, which is 48. So that tells me when I do that, that this is really 4 cents an ounce. And again, I figured out what the cost of one box was, which is $1.87, and I divided it because I don't need to know the cost for the box. I need to try to get to tablespoons. Well, the next bit of information that you could find, all right, remember there's 12 boxes, 12 48-ounce weight boxes in a case. All we did was take $22.40, divide it by the number of boxes in the case. That told us it was $1.87 a box. But I need to get to tablespoons. Box doesn't tell me anything. So what we need to do is figure out how much each box weighs. And it tells you right here it's a 48-ounce box. So I took $1.87 a box and divided it by 48, and it tells me that 1 ounce of salt is going to weigh 4 cents, all right? But this still doesn't match. I'm in ounces, all right? My column F over here is tablespoons. Well, how many tablespoons are in an ounce? Well, if you go back to that lovely sheet I'd given you guys, this guy, all right? We know that there's just like up on top, on average, there's about 2 tablespoons equals 1 ounce. Now, this is not always the case. This is where you want to go look up, and that's what I'm doing right now. You can't see me at home, but I'm looking up in my book of yields how many tablespoons are in an ounce of salt. You could also go on Google and see how much a tablespoon of salt is, but sometimes with the internet, the information isn't always right. I highly recommend you use your book of yields. And when I look it up, it says that on average, roughly, it's 2 tablespoons equal 1 ounce. So when we look at this right now, it was currently 4 cents for 1 ounce, but I want to get it to tablespoons, right? How many tablespoons are in an ounce? Just said it. There's 2 tablespoons in 1 ounce. So what I could do to get it from ounces to tablespoons, 0.04 divided by 2, or 2 tablespoons in an ounce, tells me that a tablespoon of salt is roughly 2 cents. Now, chicken check time. Does this column unit match the unit that is in my costing? Yes, it does. Does this match this unit over here? Yes, it does. Okay. Now, let's get into white pepper. Same thing. Got to go first, start in your inventory master. And we're going to go into dry spices and herbs. Black pepper, white pepper ground. Here we go. So when we look at it, it's an 18-ounce weight. There's a W, weight, which means you need to get a scale if you were to weigh this out, right? It's not volume. 18 ounces in a bottle for $10.55. So what I'm going to do is, like I did right above, $10.55 for 18 ounces of white pepper. Now, when I look at this, okay, I could divide $10.55 by 18 because there's 18 ounces in the bottle, and it'll tell me what the price of 1 ounce is, okay? So let's do that right now at home. You're going to take $10.55 and you're going to divide it by 18 because there's 18 ounces in that bottle. And it tells you that, rounding up, it's about 59 cents an ounce, okay? But you notice again, we're in ounces, but this recipe is needing teaspoons. Teaspoons is what we're looking for, right? Teaspoons. So I need to break this number over here from ounces further down into teaspoons, okay? So this is where, again, you could open up your book of yields and go look to see how much 1 teaspoon or how many teaspoons there are in an ounce. And when I look that up in my book of yields, it tells me that there's 6 teaspoons roughly in an ounce. So if I take 0.59 and divide it by 6, because there's 6 teaspoons in an ounce, it roughly comes out to, rounding up, 10 cents a teaspoon. Thus, chicken checking again. I've got teaspoons as a unit in column H. I've got teaspoons in column F. Okay? So again, in recap, I went and looked up white pepper right here. Said it was $10.55 for an 18-ounce weight bottle. Okay? And that's what I put right over here. So I wanted to try to first get it down to figuring out how much just an ounce of white pepper would be. How did I do that? I took $10.55 divided by 18, because there's 18 ounces in the bottle. And that told me that roughly it was about 60 cents an ounce. All right. But again, that tells me ounces. I need to figure out my recipe to teaspoons. So I looked up how many teaspoons are in 1 weight ounce of white pepper, and it told me that there were 6. So I further divided it from being 60 cents an ounce. I divided it by the number of teaspoons in an ounce, which is 6, and it came out to 10 cents a teaspoon, meaning that I got teaspoons, which is like apples to apples here. My column F matches the cost for the same unit in teaspoons. All right, let's get into milk. Milk is daddy. It's supposed to do a body good, but we're now starting to read that, milk is basically was just developed to help sell more milk for dairy farmers. It's kind of weird to be drinking the teat of some other animal when you really think about it. But hey, whole milk we're going to use today. It's $2.78 a gallon. So I'm going to come over to here. I'm going to put in $2.78 a G or a gallon. All right, but this is in gallons, right? My recipe is asking for fluid ounces over here. So how do I figure out how many fluid ounces are, or how much does a fluid ounce cost? Well, you want to think to yourself, it's $2.78 per gallon. Well, how many ounces are in a gallon? Well, when we come down to here to 1 gallon, it says there's 128 fluid ounces. Interesting. So what I'm going to do is take $2.78 and I'm going to divide it by the number of fluid ounces in a gallon, which was 128. Thus, it comes out and tells me that it is rounding up 0.03 per fluid ounce. And look, I've got fluid ounce units or apples to apples over here. They have to match before you can get into the multiplication part, which is the easy and fun part at the end. So we're on the home stretch. We're going into oil. All right. Here's our vegetable oil. So we need to go in. We need to go to inventory master. We need to think to ourselves, what category does oil go into? Is it dried spices? No. Is it fresh fruit or produce? No. It's going to be a dry good. and we know it's oil, so it starts with O. So we're going to go and we're going to look under O and whammo. There we go. We got oil, vegetable. Now this cat, or vegetable oil, is $48.09 a case. But in that case, there are 6 1-gallon bottles in there. So I'm going to do is right over here, like we've been doing this whole time, 48.09 or 6 basically gallons, if you think about it. All right. What's the recipe asking us for in column F, the unit? It's asking us for fluid ounces. So I need to break this down from gallons to fluid ounces. So like we've always done this whole time up to now, is that we're going to start with the price, 48.09, and we're going to divide it by the number of units in that case, which was 6. 48.09 or $48.09 divided by the number of units in that case, which was 6, tells me that it's going to be $8, rounding up, and 2 cents. That end up there. Just cut that guy over. Sorry about that. 6 gallons, right? Yeah. All right, so over in this one, so it doesn't look so weird. So basically right now, it's 8.02 a gallon, but I'm still in gallons over here. I need to get it to match. I need apples to apples, oranges to oranges. Simple problem, simple solution. All right, it's $8 a gallon. I need to get it to fluid ounces. Well, how many fluid ounces are in a gallon? All right, again, go back to your cheat sheet. You can practice writing it out, and it says 1 gallon is 128 fluid ounces. So I need to take $8.02, and I need to divide it by the number of fluid ounces in a gallon, or 128. This tells me now that once I divide that $8 by 128 ounces, rounding up, let's come to 7 cents of fluid ounce. And again, chicken check yourself. I've got the same unit per ounce as what my recipe unit is asking for in column F. Okay, now down to the last one. Thank you for holding on. I know this video is a little bit longer, but this is where the rubber meets the road. Going back into the inventory master, got onions. We need to think to ourselves, what category do onions come from? Let's take a look. Let's go into fresh produce. We got broccoli and asparagus and all kinds of good stuff. And we keep going down, and we're looking for O's because O starts for onions. And I get down, and I'm going to use this. We'll use medium onions. So we know that it's $9.60 for a 50-pound bag, or you could call it a 50-pound case, doesn't matter. But we're going to use $9.60 for 50 pounds. So I come up over to here, and I'm going to do $9.60 for 50 pounds of onions, all right? But look, I'm looking for ounces, weight ounces, not flaws or fluid ounces. We're talking about weight. You need weight, you need a scale, all right? So I need 2.25 ounces weight. They're selling me these onions from Cisco at $9.60 for 50 pounds, all right? So let's try to break this down to just a pound first. If I take $9.60 and divide it by 50, which is the number of pounds in the case, it tells me, rounding up, that it is roughly 20 cents a pound, all right? But this is in pounds still in my column H, and I need to get this to ounces weight. How many ounces are in a pound? 16. So if I divide 20 cents by the number of ounces in a pound, or 16, it now comes out, rounding up, to roughly 2 cents an ounce. And again, look at this. Apples to apples, oranges to oranges. I got ounces over here. I've got ounces over here. Now, this is the easy part, because you know that your units are matching. Now it's time to multiply what your amount needed for this recipe for 2 servings, all right, was 6 each eggs, times 12 each eggs. And look, again, I'll fill these in so you guys can really drive this point home, okay, is that when I put the equal signs in there, it knows that you need to do the math. And just like an X means multiplication. So now what we're going to do is multiply across from F to H, making sure they're in the same units. So what do I have here? I've got 6 times 0.12. So the cost of eggs for 2 omelets is 72 cents. Next one, I got 0.2 tablespoons. The cost is 0.02 per tablespoon cost. Put a dollar sign there just to make it look tight. All right, same with this guy down here. All right, so when I take 0.2 times 0.2, comes out to 0.004. I'm going to round up. So it's only going to cost me about a penny for 0.2 tablespoons of salt for 2 omelets. Okay? Then I get down, I'm going to continue it. I'm going to take 0.2 tablespoons times the cost of how much a teaspoon is. Sorry, 0.2 teaspoons times how much a teaspoon is. So 0.2 times 0.1 equals 0.02. Rounding up, so the total cost for my white pepper for 0.2 or a fifth of a teaspoon is going to cost me roughly 2 cents for 2 omelets that I'm selling. All right, going into milk. 2 fluid ounces is what I need for my 2 omelets. Is 3 cents a fluid ounce. Notice, apples to apples. 2 times 0.03 equals 0.06. So it's costing us 6 cents. Ooh, I do have a 6 cents for milk. All right. Getting under oil. I need a half a fluid ounce. And the cost is 0.07 for a fluid ounce. When I do the math on that, 0.5 times 0.07 comes out to 0.035. I want to round up because I want the customer to pay for this. So oil needed for these 2 omelets is going to cost me about 4 cents. And last but not least, we've got our onions. We need to buy 2.25 ounces because we know after we clean them and throw out 10%, it will give us the amount we need to make 2 omelets worth of onions. So what am I taking? 2.25 times the cost per ounce, again, apples to apples, right here is 2 cents. So 2.25 ounces times 2 cents an ounce equals 0.045. Rounding up, because you want that customer to pay it, is going to cost you 5 cents for 2.25 ounces for your 2 omelets that you're going to make. Thank you guys for sticking around.